Hello, welcome to CLSP Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. So we're moving on to the North Carolina primary that just happened. I'm actually very excited about what's going on in North Carolina. As you know, we have a bit of a deficit as Democrats in the U.S. Senate, and should solve that problem. Roy Cooper basically made it through. He's a former two-term governor. We're going to get into that a little bit against Michael Whatley, who's the former chair of the Republican National Committee. So the guy's got a Rolodex, and he's going to be able to raise some money. And also, the Republicans know this is a real. They're saying this could be the most expensive Senate race in the country, which is a frightening prospect because it shouldn't be. And I'll get into that. Polling has been really interesting, and I'm going to blow this up for you guys so you guys can see it a little easier. This stuff was from, July last year. It's really some of the best stuff we've got going right now. There's going to be a whole lot of polls coming out over the next 2 weeks, and I'll get into those when those come out. But Roy Cooper was already ahead of Whatley at this point with 12% undecided. I think this is brilliant. I think if he can maintain, even if this league gets cut in half, it's still going to be what would be considered a blowout in North Carolina. Roy Cooper's had some really solid success running statewide in North Carolina. The most important thing to understand is he's a household name. Like, he is a known quantity. And in that quantity, that the fact that people are used to voting for him helps a lot, because you ask anybody in the campaign business, name recognition is enormous. That is 99% of it, to be honest. If you've got name recognition, then you're going to be doing all right. So he's run pretty much every 4 years for the last, 20. And then he's also two-term governor. He is a known quantity, and more importantly, he can raise money. So just so far, well, as of, I guess it would be January, he had raised about 17 million and spent about 5. He's spent more than that now, and he's raised more than that now, and we'll get those numbers in a couple weeks. But he's sitting there being able to raise money. He's outpaced all of his other times he's ever raised money, and that's a good sign. Because although I don't know if this should be the most expensive Senate race, I mean, it could easily be. Believe me, campaigns can dump money. I've seen it. They were in 2024. The Democrats were dropping about $9,000 a minute, I think it was, in just Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois. So yeah, they can drop money when they want to. When you go and you look at some of the margins he's won by, when he first ran back in 2016, he had a margin of 10,000, which is not much. That's a flu season. That's a did it rain on that side of the state kind of question. But then 4 years later, he blew that up by 238,000. Obviously, he did a good job. And obviously, people recognize that fact. And that's also huge. This is credibility, 100%. And it's exactly the kind of metric that the Democrats need to anchor a Senate seat. And I think he's going to win. Cooper's going to take this one. Now, when you look at North Carolina, and I always like to pull out my maps, you can see there's a lot of blue dots. It's not even blueberries, it's blue regions, and those white areas are ties. Those are the 50-50s. So you can see where the strength and the weaknesses are and what's going on. And when we talk about what happened in the Democratic primary in North Carolina here in a minute, keep this map in your mind. Also, a good one to keep in your mind is this one. This is the demographic map. This is minorities and where they're spread out and located. So you can see there's definitely a difference between East North Carolina and West North Carolina. This is also really important as we move into what happened and how. So here we are. Now, it was a huge turnout in the primary. They had great enthusiasm. Lots of young people voted, which is key. We saw that here in Texas, and as we saw in Texas, the primary was weaker. The Republican primary, they just didn't show up. You know, there was some volunteer energy seen in Texas, but in North Carolina, apparently it was enormous. People were just getting out. I'll tell you, because of the floods they had and FEMA's reaction of the Trump administration, I would not be surprised that that was part of it. You know, that they want somebody in the Senate that's there looking out for them. And I think that's part and parcel of the momentum that you're seeing, you know. And this cycle is not like other cycles. So they're saying it might tighten, but I don't know. I just want to put that there just so you know. So he's not a liberal left-wing nut kind of person. He's a pretty strong mainstream, and with great idea, and you know, he's going to do well. He's also, you know, with the things that the Trump administration's done with Medicaid and Medicare, he looks to be an answer for voters on that front, and I think that that's hugely strong. So if you go back and look, and I should do it again, my medical hospital shutdown by state, North Carolina was definitely going to feel it. But more importantly, it was going to feel it in rural North Carolina, far like in the west part, the part where he needs to do better. So maybe this begins to feed and change minds out there. But, you know, much like the Dallas Cowboys, it's been a while since they've seen a Senate race win in North Carolina. So that's something to think about. It's been a long 20 years. But at the end of the day, North Carolina is now officially, bar none, a top tier Senate battleground state. It's going to be the Republican Party has to win North Carolina to hold on to the Senate, in my mind, at this point. And this will be one of the many races that I will be reviewing over the next 240 days as we get closer to November, because this one's going to be a big one. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. These are my typical videos. I tend to do them relatively short, just lots of information and just get it out there. So if you'd like to support the work I do on this channel, you can go to my PayPal. There's a QR code right there. There's a PayPal link on my YouTube channel. Or you can go to my Substack, become a paid member there. A lot of you have started the free membership, which I'm all about. It's just more ways for me to get information out there. So, and technically you do see it there first, and it gets directly emailed to you. So it's pretty cool. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Hope everyone has a great day. Have a good one. Bye.